welcome back to the Stitch Sessions. This week's tutorial is a really cute and quick project, and it's a great way to continue working on your post stitches. So a couple of weeks ago, we worked on the Coffee Cozy, where we had a chance to practice our front post double crochets. And in this week's tutorial, we are working on practicing both the front and the back post double crochets as we create our beautiful Classic Cozy Cowl. And what I love about this cowl, or cowls in general, is that they offer a great sense of warmth and coziness without creating a lot of bulk inside your coat. So this is actually a very simple project, but it creates such a beautiful texture. I think you're really going to like it. It doesn't take very long, and it'll make for a great fall and winter add-on accessory, as well as maybe a gift as well. So in any case, if you are new here, I invite you to press that subscribe button and come and hang out with me every Wednesday when I upload a brand new project tutorial. And if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up, and that helps me know that I am on the right track with the types of projects that you want to see. And now let's get on to stitching up our Classic Cozy Cowl. Okay, so let's get started. The yarn I'm going to be using for this cowl is Red Heart's Roll With It Sparkle yarn. Now, I bought this a couple of seasons ago, and I've been waiting for just the right project for it. And I really love it because it's got this kind of gradient effect here with a little bit of sparkle running through it. It's just great. And it is 97% acrylic and 3% other fibers. Not sure what that means. It comes in a 150 gram cake, which has 561 yards or 513 meters. I do believe that they still sell this yarn. I've seen it even at Walmart. So have a look around at your local craft stores, or you might be able to find it online. And if I have a link for it, I will leave it in the description box down below. Okay, now they are calling for a 5mm hook for this yarn. I'm going to be using a 5.5mm hook, also known as an I or a size 9, just to kind of give my stitches just a little bit more of a loosey, relaxed feel. So that's the yarn, that's the hook. Make sure, as always, that you have a darning needle to sew in your ends at the end, and a handy pair of scissors so you can snip off your yarn. You will also want to have a measuring tape and a piece of paper and a pen or pencil just to take one important measurement. So let's talk about that right now. Okay, so we are going to be working this cowl in the round. So what we want to make sure is that it will fit over our head, or whoever's head you're making the cowl for. Because we're not going to create this like a long infinity scarf where it would be quite a large opening, we're making this to fit somewhat snugly around the face and close to the collar. So I like to have items that are not too bulky inside the coat. So for that reason, this is why you need your measuring tape. And what you want to do is you want to just take the circumference measurement of the head. Now, when we make a hat, we tend to take the circumference measurement on an angle. But for this project, just take the measurement around the widest part of the head, which is usually around the forehead area, just like that. The average adult is going to be anywhere between 21 to 23 inches. And for me, mine is about 22 with a wee bit extra. So I want my cowl to sit, I don't want it to just snugly kind of fit over my head. I want to have a little bit of allowance. So even though I have about 22 inches, I'm going to chain an initial foundation chain row that's going to give me 25 inches. Okay. And that is going to come out to about 63.5 centimeters for those of you that are using the metric system. Okay, so this will definitely fit an average adult. You could make this for a young adult or a child if you like, but that's the measurement that I know for me I'm going to be working off of. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our initial chain row, our foundation chain row, That's going to come out to a total of 63.5 centimeters. Now I know already for myself, because I'm very familiar with my gauge, I know that usually for 1 inch in length that I can usually get about 4 stitches. And so, you know, if you've been crocheting for a while, you're going to get to know what your gauge is. This is why sometimes those gauge swatches that I know a lot of us don't like to do, they come in really handy, because that way you can already foresee how many stitches you're going to need, as opposed to chaining, measuring, chain, measure, which you could absolutely do that, but this is just going to save you a little bit of time. So because I know that I crochet 4 stitches per inch, I need 25 inches. So 25 inches times 4 stitches. That means I'm going to need 100 stitches in order to achieve my 25 inches. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. If you're following along with my size, I'm going to crochet 100 chains. Okay guys, I'm actually just swapping out my hook momentarily. I've gone up half a hook size to a 6mm hook, or a J, or a size 10. And that's just to make sure that my foundation chain row doesn't accidentally bunch up. It's really natural that that initial chain can become a little bit tight. And I really want both the top and the bottom end of the cowl to have a nice relaxed stitch feeling. So if you especially find that you are a tight crocheter, when you're doing foundation chain rows, if you're not familiar with the chainless foundation row, or stitch I should say, then always go up a half or even a full hook size for that very first row, just to keep all of your work nice and even and relaxed. So that is what I'm doing here. And I'm going to begin by placing a slip knot on my hook like that. And as we discovered, I need 100 chains plus 1 to create my first round. Okay, we will be working in the round, which I'll show you in a moment. So just begin by placing that slip knot on your hook and beginning to create your chain. So you can see I'm just keeping it, you know, nice and relaxed, nothing too loose. You also don't want it too crazy loose, but you don't want it to be super tight. So I'm going to do 100. Okay, so I have my 100 chains, okay? And now what we want to do is we want to join our chain into a circle so that we are going to be working in the round from here on out. So this is where you want to be careful that you don't twist your chain. So just make sure that the top of the chain where the V's are, they're staying facing up. Can get tricky. So you just want to take your time and then find your way back to the very first chain. Sorry guys, I keep going out of camera here, out of frame. Okay, so just like that. Make sure it's not twisted. And then right into that very first chain we did, we want to slip stitch to join. Okay, we're going to slip stitch right there. And from here on out, we're going to be crocheting in the round. So that is the opening. See, it's got a nice relaxed feeling there. Okay, once you've slip stitched to join, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to hang on to my 6mm hook for the first round. Okay, so we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and this is going to count as a double crochet. Okay, it's the height of a double crochet. And what we're going to do is into each stitch, we are going to place 1 double crochet into each stitch. Now what I'm going to do that might be a little bit different than usual is instead of going in through the front of the stitch here, where you can see the V's, I'm going to turn them over and I'm going to work into the back bumps. And I just like doing that for things like cowls or anything that has like an edge on both sides. Just creates a nice already finished look. If you're very beginner and you find this a bit cumbersome or it's just tricky to work with, just simply go in through the front. It's not a big deal, okay? So a double crochet. You're going to yarn over first. And again, I'm turning over that first stitch. So the bump for me is right there. Hopefully you can see that. And you may have to help it along. Push that through. There we go. Pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, and then you pull through 2 and pull through 2, just like you would a normal double crochet. So you're going to get lots of practice on your double crochets here. Okay, so, and that's what you're going to do into every single stitch all the way around. So remember, we stitched 100, so you should end up with 100 double crochets at the end of round 1. And remember that chain 3 counts as 1. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you at the end of round 1. Okay, so I have 1 stitch left here, and I just wanted to show you guys my work is looking like this. And again, make sure it is not twisted, so it's sitting nice and flush there. So I've got 1 more stitch to go, and then I'm going to slip stitch to join my round. And I have that last bump there I'm going into. Okay, and now I'm going to slip stitch to join. Now at the end of every odd numbered round, so this is round 1, the chain 3 will count as a stitch, so we're going to find the top of that chain 3 and we're going to slip stitch to join. Now once we get to the end of round 2, we're actually going to ignore that chain 3. So every odd round, we will slip stitch into that chain 3. Every even round, so round 2, 4, 6, 8, etc., we will ignore this, and I will show this to you once we get to the end of round 2. But for now, just be aware that that's what's going to happen at the end of every odd round. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I am going to take out my 6mm hook, and I'm going to bring back in my 5.5mm hook, and now we're going to continue. So we will begin by chaining 3. 1, 2, and 3. So what happens when we crochet in the round? Because the loops sit to the right of your stitch, with every round when you slip stitch, your seam starts to lean, right? And I've done a couple of lessons on, first of all, identifying parts of your stitch and how to kind of get rid of the leaning seam when working in the round. And if you want a closer look at those, I'll leave a link for those videos in the description box down below. But I will take you through that in this project as well. So for now we've chained 3, but we will ignore it when we come to the end, like I said. Okay, now what we're going to do is into the next stitch, we are going to work a front post double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook in between the stitch. So see, this is where we would place in the stitch. We're actually going to go around the post. So between the stitch, pushing it forward. That's why we call it a front post. And we're going to pull up a loop and just resolve like a regular double crochet, just like that. Okay. And now we're going to do 4 more of these. So you're going to insert around the post, double crochet, or front post double crochet. And we've got 3 more. Okay, there's the 5th one. So now we have something that looks like this. Now if I turn the back, you'll see a little ridge come out there. That is quite normal for post stitches. And that's what creates texture, which you'll see in subsequent rounds. Okay, so we're ignoring this chain 3 right now. And so far we've got 5 front post double crochet stitches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 back post double crochet stitches. So you're still going to yarn over, and instead of going in through the front, what we're going to do is we're going to go in from behind, and then we'll push that post back. So as you can see, that's what creates the back post double crochet. You'll pick up your loop and bring it through and resolve like a regular double crochet. So again, into the next one, you go from behind. It's going to be amazing practice for your post stitches, gang. And you'll pull through and pull through. Okay, so I've only done 2 so far, but you can already see that there's going to be an alternating texture here. So we need to do 3 more. Behind. And take your time if you're really new. This at first will take some getting used to, right? So in, through. And we've got 1 more. Behind. And pull through 2. Okay. So we've got 5 front post double crochets and we've got 5 back post double crochets. This is what you're going to repeat all the way around. Okay, so the next one would be a front post. So you're going to go in through the front. And notice I'm not doing it too tightly. So for you tight crocheters out there, you want to be careful because post stitches especially tend to bunch in after a while. So if you need to, go up that hook size, okay? So I just started your next set there, but you can see it's creating this really cool texture. So 5 in the front, 5 in back, 5 in front, 5 back, front, back, all the way around. And I'm going to meet up with you when you have 1 stitch left. Remember this one that doesn't really count as 1? Well, you'll see why once we get to the end. So here I am at the end of round 2. I've done my last 4 double crochet stitches and I've got 1 more stitch to go. Now that's that chain 3. So remember, we are going to ignore it for round 2 and all even rows, or rounds I should say. But instead of a 4th back post double crochet, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 1 regular double crochet and I'm going to go right into the spot where we slip stitched from round 1. So it's as if this doesn't even exist. I'm just going to go right in to that spot there and I'm going to double crochet, just a regular double crochet. Okay. And then again, ignoring the chain 3, I'm going to go over to that first front post double crochet stitch and I'm going to slip stitch there. Now what this is going to do is, like I said before, it's going to help to keep your seam straight. Generally speaking, the seam will get lost in the front and back post stitches, but a lot of times when it starts to lean, it does pop out a bit. So we're just doing that to keep it straight. So now we're going into an odd numbered row. So it will count as a stitch this time, but here's what we're going to do. We're only going to chain 2. And this is the way you're going to do it for every odd numbered row now. You're going to chain 2. And these are front post stitches, right? So we're above this stitch here and we're going to yarn over and we're going to go right around that very first post and front post double crochet. So it's almost like this chain 2 doesn't really exist. It's part of this front post. Okay, and don't worry, I know it looks like there's gaps there, but that will kind of cushion in with time. So that is the very first. So this chain 2 and this front post will be together. Okay, then you continue as usual for this round. Now it's really easy to see where to go. So for every front post stitch, you will front post double crochet around that stitch. Okay, so it's much easier to see now that we've done round 2. And essentially we are just repeating round 2 and 3 over and over again. Now essentially round 2 is the same as round 3. It's just like I said, at the end of the even numbered rounds, the chain 3 will not count, and at the beginning of the odd number rounds, the chain 3 will count. I hope that makes sense. So we've got front post into front post. We've got back post around back post. Okay, really straightforward now. So now you can see where you need to go. And just be careful you don't catch your loops there where they shouldn't be. And you're just basically following the texture that you see. Just going to do one more here. Back post. There we go. So you can really see now that those front post stitches are really coming through, and the back post stitches are creating that little ridge effect there. And that is what you're going to repeat all the way around. Now, you can always tell where the end is. If you ever get lost, just look for your tail. Where did it go? There it is. So there's my tail, and that's where I know. See, right now it kind of just looks almost really smoothly. That's where the end and beginning of each round is. If it's easier for you, I do recommend that you place a stitch marker, a safety pin, something in the top of the very first stitch of each round, and when you come back around, you'll know where to go there. So finish round 3, and I will meet up with you at the end just to kind of reinforce what we do at the end of every odd numbered round, okay? Okay, and I'm just coming up to the end of round 3. So I've done my last 4 back post stitches. Now remember at the end of round 2 how we ignored that chain 3 and just went in there and did a regular double crochet? Well, now what we're going to do is we're actually going to back post around that. That will be the last stitch of round 3. Okay, so every odd numbered round we will have 5 actual post stitches. With every even numbered round we'll have 4 post stitches and a regular double crochet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first post stitch. So remember that chain 2 belongs to that post stitch. So I'm just going to insert my hook there and slip stitch. So now you can see that the seam, because we tend to kind of jog a little bit back and forth between what counts as a stitch and what doesn't count as a stitch, your join should remain nice and straight. You might not be able to tell still quite yet. I can definitely see that my seam is staying straight. But the more consecutive rounds that you crochet, the more obvious you'll be able to see that your seam is staying straight, okay? And that is it. So now we're gonna go back to an even numbered row. So we're gonna chain 3, 1, 2, 3. This will not count as a stitch, but we're gonna move over right away into the next stitch, which is that front post double crochet. And the rest is pretty straightforward, right? Every time you see a front post, you will front post. Every time you see a back post, you will back post, okay? I will leave a timestamp for the end of every odd round and the end of every even round in case you just need to go back and refer to what to do at the end of the odd and even rounds, just to kind of guide you along. But you're pretty much now going to continue on. You will repeat round 2 and round 3 over and over and over and over again until you get the depth of your cowl that you wish. Love how that texture is coming out. Okay, so you can make yours a very shallow cowl, or you can make it a very deep cowl. I like the idea of a deep cowl because I'm going to fold it over. So you could decide to just create enough height so that your cowl will sit here at the bottom and just come up to here, okay? I am going to continue on to create a height that pretty much either goes up to my eye height, okay, or even my forehead. And so I'm gonna do a lot more rows. And the reason why is I like the idea of being able to fold it over, and that'll create that extra chunkiness that we're looking for, okay? So whatever height you decide to do, you're just gonna keep repeating round 2 and round 3. And when you've got your height, I'll meet you back here. Okay, and I have completed my cowl. I ended up doing a total of 47 rows, and it does go well above my eye height. But once I got there, I just had a little bit left in the cake, and I didn't want to have leftovers. So I just used the whole cake, and that gave me a total of 47 rows. And I actually really love the fact that it's much longer than I anticipated. I really like the way the colors changed, because when you fold it, it just creates this really beautiful, classy kind of ombre effect. And I'm really happy with how it came out. Super simple, but created such a fantastic texture and design. And I love the fact that, you know, it's not very bulky. It'll still kind of bunch nicely around the neck area, and it's not going to bulk too much inside your jacket or coat. And of course, you can wear it with the lighter colors closer to the top, or if you want, you can actually put it on with the darker colors on top, and can completely change your outfit with one simple little adjustment. So there you have it, guys. If you were brand new to working on post stitches, well, this was definitely the project for you. So we've got our front post stitches and we've got our back post stitches, which just went such a long way to giving this cowl such a great little detail. So I hope you enjoyed working on this, and maybe if the post stitches were brand new for you, I hope you found it really fun, interesting, and maybe you're going to find it very useful to you in future projects. And like I've been saying for the last few videos, I really want you guys to get comfortable with these posting stitches, because there is a tutorial coming up very, very soon where we're going to use a ton of front post and back post stitches to create a really beautiful, fantastic design, very classic in both crochet and knitting. So stay tuned for that. That will be here sooner rather than later. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just leave them for me down below, or as always, just email me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. And make sure that if you haven't done so already, that you subscribe to the newsletter. I have a monthly newsletter, and each month I give away a free written pattern. And of course, I am slowly working on building up my portfolio of written patterns also on the Etsy shop, which is Crochet Crafty Canada. So you can go on over there and check out some of the other written patterns if you are interested. As always, come and say hello to me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I love it when you guys share your versions of my designs. So in the meantime, have an amazing day. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I invite you to do so. Come hang out with me every Wednesday and join me on my crochet journey. You never know what kind of shenanigans I get into. So in the meantime, everyone, take good care of yourselves. Happy crocheting. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next session. Bye-bye.